Hi friends, this is Brian Chrisman from Heart of the Bride Ministries. Thank you so much for joining today and listening to this. This update has a couple of big announcements coming to you at the end. But before we get to that, I wanted to just share a few minutes about how we got to those. So this may be a little bit longer than normal, but I'm going to keep it as quick as possible. I've even got some notes to kind of keep me organized so I don't stray too much and don't ramble. But I want you to understand about how God has been working this year and how He's been challenging us through this crazy year that is 2020, so that you know how we got to where we are and how God is speaking. So it's kind of important, so just please hang with me a minute, and I believe it'll be worth it. So you can be the judge of that at the end. But 2020 obviously hasn't gone the way anybody thought. It's a little bit of a joke now when we say that, but it's true. In fact, I don't think I know of a single person whose life hasn't been completely, affected by COVID-19. Some of them changed completely. Some of them just inconvenienced. Some of us, I hope a lot of us, have grown through it as we've been challenged to adapt, to change, and hopefully to seek the Lord a little bit more in all of the uncertainty. And so this year's been crazy. As you can imagine, here it was already going to be a challenging year with our leadership change. We had a lot of plans going into this year and had sought the Lord through the first couple of months and had things lined up. I had begun to travel and to visit with all of our partners, and then all of a sudden, lockdown, right? COVID-19 hit, was growing, was spreading, and so everything changed. And so for a moment, everything kind of ground to a halt. I couldn't visit our partners. The mud run was already postponed from May. We knew we couldn't do that. And so it looked, crazy, but what we chose to do and felt led to do in seeking the Lord was to stop focusing on what couldn't happen and the way things were changing, but to begin to look for the opportunities and to ask, what opportunities is God providing through this? We acknowledge that this didn't catch God by surprise. None of us saw COVID-19 coming, but God wasn't caught off guard. In fact, we went back to Isaiah 46, verses 9 and 10 to focus on where Isaiah says that, God, and God is speaking here through Isaiah, that He is the God and there is no one like Him, that He is the one who declares the end from the beginning and from ancient times those things that aren't yet done, and that then His counsel will stand, and why? All to accomplish His purpose. So we began to pray and just ask God to show us what His purpose was through all of this, and to look for the opportunities and to see where He was working, where we could join Him. And so that's been kind of our theme as we went through this year. And so it's given us a couple of things, right? It's given us one, our theme going into the end of this year. Our theme is Together is Better, right? I think we've all learned that. Everyone listening to this video has probably been on some sort of quarantine lockdown at some point, depending on the state that you live in and what profession you're in. But there's been some level of lockdown. Your kids have maybe been at home with you. Some of us haven't been able to visit family that's in the hospital or nursing homes. I mean, we've all been affected in some way. Our churches weren't able to meet the way we normally do. We couldn't worship together. Small groups couldn't get together. We tried to do that virtually, but it doesn't feel the same. So one thing we've learned is what God has designed, and that is together is better. I mean, the first negative thing God said in the Bible, the first negative statement is it's not good for man to be alone. So He designed the marriage relationship, right, to fulfill that need, right? And then we see in the New Testament as God lays out the church, Paul talks over and over again about how God has knit the body together and given every member of the body spiritual gifts and abilities and a place in the body to function. And without everyone, the body doesn't function correctly. The same is true of missions. We see the church at Antioch send Paul and Barnabas into the mission field, but then all through his ministry, Paul continues to testify to churches that not only supply his monetary needs, but his physical and his emotional and spiritual needs, even in prison. So even in missions, we need those who go and those who send, those who partner. So together is better at every level. And so that's kind of our focus going into the end of this year. So the other thing is that you may have seen the announcement yesterday that we are now officially not having Mud Run 2020. It had been rescheduled for September. We can't do that, and I'm not going to go into the whys today. You can look back at the announcement, check on social media or check your email and look at Michael's announcement, and there'll be a video in the coming days from Michael and Ashley about the whys, but it's pretty clear to us that it can't happen. But again, we paused for a moment and we asked God then what was the opportunity. If we're not going to be consumed with that through August and September, then what is the opportunity? And so here are the two big announcements. God has given us two things that I want to mention to you today. Number one, a renewed focus on sponsorship. And we're going to pursue this through the end of 2020 and into 2021 because sponsorship is the primary way that we, you and I, you and us, work together. It's the primary way that you get to work with our partners and missionaries around the world, and the primary way in which you get to partner with a child in another country, or children. Maybe you sponsor more than one. But it's the primary way that we work together. We have church partnerships, but this is the most personal way that we work together with individuals. And what we want to focus on is this: sponsorship works. So we're going to feature stories of sponsors and their sponsored children, and a lot of them have met. Some of our sponsors have sponsored children from the time they entered the program till they graduated, and now those kids are back. Now they're adults working in our programs and engaging in missions and ministry. So we're going to focus on a lot of those stories, feature those, and show you ways that you can sponsor and ways you can get involved, because sponsorship works. We've seen it over and over again throughout the years. Now, you don't have to wait. If you are already saying, hey, I want to sponsor, then you can email sponsorship@heartofthebride.org. That's sponsorship@heartofthebride.org, and say, I want to become a sponsor, or I want more information, and we'll send that to you. We've redone that information. We've got it more organized where we can get it to you so that you can understand how the sponsorship relationship works and where your money goes. And here's the cool thing about it: the way God has led us to operate here and provided for us, 100% of the money given to sponsorship of a child goes directly to the ministry that feeds the child, educates that child, presents the gospel, disciples that child to maturity in Christ. So 100%, when you engage in sponsorship, 100% goes to that ministry. So sponsorship, that's number one. All right, sponsorship works. Number two is this. So we're going to have an event on November 7th at 6 p.m. called Together is Better. Right? If you are local, then it's going to be an in-person event at Rocky Bayou Baptist Church at 6 p.m. on November 7th. We're going to have dinner. We're going to feature stories and highlights from what God has been doing at Heart of the Bride for the years leading up to this year, but also how He's been working through COVID-19 through our ministries, our partners, and our missionaries. We're going to have an auction that night to help raise some support, some funds for the ministry that God is not only doing now, but the vision He's given us for 2021 and beyond. And we're going to share that vision that night and highlight ways that you can get involved. So that's November 7th at 6 p.m. So if you're local, you can sponsor a table, or you could purchase tickets and be there on your own, right? Or bring friends. But if you are not local, or perhaps you are uncomfortable with the state of the virus and social distancing or whatever at that time, we're going to offer this event virtually. So you can join from here, anywhere in the United States and around the world. You can join us that night, November 7th at 6 p.m. Central Time, and join us as we celebrate together. Now that also gives the opportunity for people around the world to host a watch party, right? You could host a party, invite people over that either have interest in Heart of the Bride or that you want to engage with Heart of the Bride, and then you can invite them over and be a part of that watch party. If you let us know that you're doing that, right? If you'll email info@heartofthebride.org, that's info@heartofthebride.org, and let us know that you're going to do that, then we'll get you signed up and we will send you the materials that will be on the table that night so that everyone in your watch party can engage just the way those are that are there live in the in-person event. The auction will also be done through an app format, so platform. So everyone can engage with the auction just like those in the room. So everything is going to be set up to be in person and virtual, so that really it's limitless, right? We can have anybody can join. So we think that's just a great blessing that God has given us in this age to be able to do that. Here's the other thing. So what if health guidelines at that point because the virus, or we don't know where that's going to be in November, prevent us from having a live event, then we're going to go and do it virtually anyway. So it's not going to be canceled, barring any unforeseen event, right? But we won't be canceled just because we can't have an in-person event. We will go all virtual that evening. So November the 7th, 6 p.m. Central, we're going to be together because together is better. So I hope that you'll join us. If you have questions, you can email info@heartofthebride.org about anything in this video or anything in general. That's our general email address. I want to thank you for listening to this long update, for being a partner with us, for your financial support, your prayer support, for those of you that engage with us in other ways and go on teams in years where we can take team trips. We're just so thankful for you because we can't do this without you. We can't do this without our partners and missionaries around the world. They can't do this without you because together is better. So I hope that you'll join us on November the 7th. But if you have interest or questions, don't wait till then. Email info@heartofthebride.org or visit our website, heartofthebride.org, to get more information. And again, thank you for all you do. God is moving and doing amazing things. Even with all the challenges, we're excited about what He's doing. And there's a lot of opportunity for people like you to get involved with us. So thank you for praying through that, considering it, and I just want to thank you so much for all that you do. God bless you today.